You ever wake up one morning thinking it's just another ordinary day, but then a black helicopter lands right in front of your house, slicing the quiet into pieces, and suddenly, the whole neighborhood stops to stare like they just saw a UFO touchdown? Yeah, that happened to me. Thomas Jefferson Santos, a man nobody ever looked twice at, standing in his kitchen, sleeves rolled up, soap suds still clinging to his fingers as I watched two people step out of that bird, dressed like they just came from the cover of Fortune magazine, walking straight up to my door like they owned the place. I swear for a second, I thought I was still dreaming, but deep down, I knew this moment had been coming for 20 years. Let me back up a sec. I wasn't always the man you see now, with a quiet house and a neighborhood that still whispers my name. 20 years ago, I was just another black waiter hustling at the Golden Fork, a fancy joint where the food was delicate, but the glances were cold. You know what I mean? I worked from sunrise till well past midnight, mopping floors when no one else would, taking double shifts just to pay for Mama's insulin. She used to say, "Son, you got so much more in you than this world lets you show." Some nights, I believed her. Then came that December cold enough to make your bones ache when I met Eli and Nina. Two little street kids, shivering at the back door, faces so thin I couldn't tell if they were scared or just numb. They'd lost their parents in a car wreck, sleeping wherever they could find warmth. I started sneaking them food out the kitchen, whatever I could scrounge without the chef noticing. I figured, hell, if I'm going to get in trouble, let it be for something that matters. It didn't take long before Robert Manning, my manager, 50, white, always acting like he invented the place, caught me in the act. He dragged me out in front of everyone, shouting, "You think this is a soup kitchen? You clueless black man. You should be grateful you even have a job." He fired me right there. I just kept my head down and walked out, dignity clinging to me by a thread. I didn't stop feeding Eli and Nina, though. Shared whatever I had, even if it meant going hungry myself. Then, one morning, they were just gone. Social services swept them away, out of reach, out of the city, maybe out of hope. I like to say that's where the story ends, but sometimes the worst moments are just the opening scene. If you're still with me, let me tell you what happened next wasn't about revenge, not at first. But humiliation leaves a mark. Manning made sure no one else would hire me, calling up every restaurant in town. Said I was a thief, that people like me always take advantage. I took any job I could, cleaning cars, handing out flyers, mopping empty offices when most folks were asleep. All that time, I kept my college degree hidden in a drawer, as if the world would burn if anyone found out a so-called problem waiter had graduated top of his class in business. My mama never lost faith, though. She patched up my knuckles, wiped my tears when I thought she was asleep, whispered, "Don't let that anger eat you alive, boy." But it did some nights. And then one night, as I walked home past that same private club where Manning and his friends laughed over whiskey, I heard them talking about me. Look at that. The thief's still picking up scraps, probably selling them for drug money. I almost turned around and told them who I really was. Maybe that's when the plan began. I started jotting down everything I remembered from the Golden Fork, names, dates, snippets of shady deals I overheard while serving wine to men who thought I was invisible. Over time, my little notebook became a weapon. Life has a way of breaking you twice before letting you build yourself back up. When Mama died cancer, the kind that doesn't care how good a son you are, I promised her I'd use my pain to build something, not destroy. That's when I met DR. Marcus Chun, at her funeral, a tax lawyer, son of immigrants, a man who knew the sting of being overlooked. He looked through my notes, his eyes getting bigger with every page. "This isn't just a list," he said. "This is a bomb." With Chun's help, we spent 2 years gathering real evidence. Manning thought he'd won. He bought more restaurants, paid his white employees double what the black ones made, kept cooking the books like no one was watching. But I was. Working as a janitor in his office building, I took photos of every document left out after hours, recorded conversations through thin walls. "You should have been a detective," Chun joked. Truth is, I was just a man with nothing left to lose. Then came the day Manning tried to go global, signing deals with investors who didn't know his whole empire was built on fraud. Chun said, "Now or never." We handed everything: spreadsheets, receipts, voice memos, even copies of bank statements from offshore accounts to the IRS and every news outlet that would listen. The dominoes started falling fast. One morning, Manning's accountant called in a panic. The IRS was demanding 5 years' worth of secret documents. A day later, a journalist called about slave wages and discrimination. Then the local paper splashed his face across the front page. Food empire built on exploitation and tax evasion. Black employees paid half, health violations, quotes on tape that made your skin crawl. Negroes have to know their place, Manning had said. Now the world knew. Investors bailed. Banks froze his accounts. Employees sued. In the end, Manning sat alone in his glass office as the crowd outside chanted for justice. That's when I called him. "Remember me, boss? The waiter you fired for feeding orphans?" He sounded small for the first time, demanding to know what I wanted. "Nothing," I told him. "I already have everything I need, the truth." I didn't want money or an apology. I wanted him to know he'd created his own ruin. "You destroyed yourself, Mr. Manning." I just documented the process. As I hung up, I felt lighter than I had in years. A few months later, I got another call, but this one was different. German investors who'd seen the case in the news wanted to hire me for internal audits. My reputation flipped overnight. Me, the ex-waiter, now teaching business schools how to dismantle corruption, how to turn pain into power. And then came the sound of rotors again. 20 years after that cold night behind the Golden Fork, Eli and Nina walked in my office. Eli was running a restaurant chain that only hired folks society left behind. Nina, now a lawyer fighting discrimination. They showed me the old drawing they made as kids, still kept safe, a man holding 2 children in a storm. "You were our hero," Nina whispered. "Now, let's do for others what you did for us." Together, we started a foundation restaurant schools for kids at risk, legal help for families, a real shot for people who'd only ever seen closed doors. 2 years later, our work had helped thousands. Sometimes, I'd see Manning, just another tired man, running the night shift at a gas station. No one left to call him sir. I never hated him. I just felt sorry for anyone who thought stepping on others was the only way up. You want to know who wins in the end? It's not the man with the biggest bank account or the flashiest suit. It's the one who turns every insult, every closed door, every act of hate into something stronger, bigger, brighter than anyone could have dreamed. My mama was right. Revenge destroys, but justice builds. So tell me, if you were in my shoes, would you have done the same? Ever been humiliated or treated unfairly at work? How did you handle it? Drop your thoughts below, because stories like this only matter if we talk about them, challenge each other, and remind the world that real change starts with those small, stubborn acts of kindness, even when nobody's watching. And hey, if you want to hear more true stories about beating the odds, don't forget to subscribe. Because, in the end, you know what really speaks louder than any insult? Success.
Xin chào các bạn, mình là Trinh, mình phụ trách viết content. Trên đây là những công việc của mình là mình lên mạng xã hội.
Vamos supor, você falou negócio sério.
It is cold, yeah.
Next one?
Alright.
Thank you, man. Hey, if you guys have any trouble, let somebody know. Please.
After the tree to hold on to.
Yeah, they're
defend.